What's going on, guys? Legit MHX here, back with another Marvel Spider-Man PS4 video, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing everything or what you may have missed within the new Paris Games Week Marvel Spider-Man story trailer or story teaser trailer that was dropped by Insomniac and Sony at the press conference, or I mean event, whatever. So I didn't want to do a full breakdown or anything. I just wanted to show the cool stuff within the actual trailer that you might have missed and not have noticed in your first few viewings of the actual trailer, and sort of discuss about them. And then I'm going to make individual videos on all the key stuff within the entire trailer, doing full analysis of each, rather than doing what everyone else has done, one shorter breakdown video of just smaller things and not going into detail that much. So that's what I want to focus on later on, is going super into detail on the specific things. But now I'm just going to go over what you might have missed, the Easter eggs, the cool things, some things that you might not know about the game. So let's get started. So I'm going to be going through from the start to the end of the trailer slowly, each main thing that you might have missed. Now, one of the main things that actually is something that you might have missed is actually something pretty obvious, which is that the trailer is actually the teaser trailer. Now you're like, yeah, it's the teaser trailer, but the thing is, we've already gotten a it was pretty much the teaser trailer at E3 2016. Then we got a gameplay demo at E3 2017. So the cool thing is that they're saying it's the teaser trailer, which means that there's a trailer coming soon, which hints at, a trailer coming soon. So you can look forward to one of the events such as PSX this year to expect something like a trailer. If not, then something definitely next year. But I just wanted to point that out, because even though it is obvious, it's something that not a lot of people have noticed, that it's actually the teaser trailer, not the normal trailer. So with that being said, let's move on. So the first actual cool little thing that you might have missed within the actual trailer was when Peter Parker sort of opened this door to an apartment, and the apartment looks like his apartment room that we saw in the concept art and later on the trailer. And what's cool about this is two things. First of all is that it's completely empty. There's nothing in it. There's literally, it's got some rubbish and stuff around, and it looks like a bed frame, but other than that, there's literally nothing within the room. And the second thing that's there is also eviction notice. So looks like either Peter got evicted, or the person that was living in the apartment before Peter had gotten evicted, and Peter's now moving in. I'm gonna settle with that Peter's actually getting evicted, and James Stevenson, the one of the guys at Insomniac, I forgot his exact role, the exact line, I don't want to stuff it up, but he's one of the guys that works at Insomniac. He said that, yeah, Peter's having a hard time actually, paying back rent and stuff like that, as he would, because he's trying to juggle between the actual, being Spider-Man, being a normal person, and all that stuff. And so it looks like he might have gotten kicked out of his apartment, which will be a cool dynamic to see what happens after that in terms of the story. The next little thing that you might have missed was actually Feast. Now, a lot of people don't know what Feast actually stands for and what Feast is. It's basically a homeless shelter that Aunt May works at, and that is run by Martin Lee, who is also Mr. Negative, the villain within the actual video game. Now, Feast also stands for, as we now know, and we've known like in the past, but now we officially know within the game, that it's Food Emergency Aid Shelter Training. And we also see within this actual shot is actual Peter Parker gameplay, whether it's free roam, like a sort of area that you can free roam around, or if it's an actual mission segment, we don't know, but it is Peter Parker gameplay, and that is 100% confirmed. Next up, we see a newspaper front cover page of a few things within it. First of all, start from the top and go down to the bottom. We have Fisk Financial, how much is Wilson worth, and something cool, hinting at Wilson Fisk as well as the Kingpin. And then we have Spider-Man Threat or Menace, of course. So that's sort of like, hinting at like, Daily Bugle still going after Spider-Man, and it's cool. It's going to be cool to see how that might sort of tie into the story, if it does at all. That would be cool. And then you have the main cover, which is Martin Lee sort of in creating Feast almost. And the funny, ironic thing is that it's saying a different kind of superhero, when in fact he is actually the villain. within the actual game. And you know, the styling of this is really hinting towards J. Jonah Jameson, and I'm really expecting him to possibly be in this. Not getting my hopes up too much, but I really think this is like all of this stuff on this page is nodding towards J. Jonah Jameson. At the bottom we have Shaka appeals conviction, so we do see the Shaka later on in the trailer, but that's also another mention of the Shaka. His exact role is unsure, but I'll talk about it a bit more later on when we actually get to see him. Taxi strike over, I don't think that has any relevance, and the mayor approval rating soar. Now the mayor I think is referring to Norman Osborn, who is being re-elected for mayor, and his approval rating soaring might mean that he's gonna get back into power, and you know, another dynamic within the story could be opened up just because of that. Now the next thing is Miles Morales. Now I know what you guys might be thinking, it's hard to miss something like Miles Morales, but what you might have missed was his actual shirt. Now it's not that big, but it does say Midtown High on it, and that was basically the school that Peter Parker went to. Of course he doesn't go there anymore because he is 23 years old within this actual game and story, but it's cool to see Miles actually also went to that school, and you know, it might open up some sort of things, but that's his shirt. Next up is the actual shot of re-elect Osborn for mayor. Now there isn't something that massive, but what I really want to focus on is re-elect Osborn for mayor. I know this was in the previous stuff, but we also get to see Norman Osborn, and he looks he looks like what he should look, but he does look a bit older to me in general. I don't know, just like just from the other Norman Osborns we've seen, he just something seems a bit older to me. And why? And I think it's like the re-elect thing. So it sort of questions, why was he like not mayor? Like what happened? Why was he taken down as mayor? Was he going for it again? And all this stuff. And it might sort of like touch upon that. Maybe Osborn had a sort of the Green Goblin, you know, something with the Green Goblin might have happened with Peter Parker, and something in the past with Spider-Man that, you know, we're not playing through because we're in the future when Peter's 23 and not when he's younger. So, you know, that might open some speculation and might actually tie into the story of the game. Next up is something that's within the actual dialogue, so it's not actually within the you know, the footage. It's what Kingpin basically says, what Wilson Fisk basically says. He said that I'm the only one who he said I'm the one who kept order in this city. Now what's interesting about this is that Mr. Negative, I don't think he struck his, or what, he didn't do his crimes or whatever until after the Kingpin was taken down. So it might show the actual role that Kingpin played in terms of controlling the villains and actually having you know, being the mastermind behind all of like the crimes and stuff that would happen within it. And now that he's gone, Mr. Negative can now take his place and actually commit the actual things that Mr. Negative wants to do. So that's also something interesting to note, and it's what actually I think triggers the story, because after Spider-Man takes down the Kingpin, it's like, you know, it's time to celebrate, when in fact it was actually probably the wrong move, as it had introduced Mr. Negative onto the playing field, which might be an even more difficult foe to Spider-Man, and, you know, a really cool dynamic set there. So let's move on. Next up is an actual file that Mary Jane, MJ, we get to see her face as well, is actually holding. Now there's two things that is actually cool about this that a lot of people have missed, and a lot of people they didn't miss. Like, you know, it's an interesting thing that can go many ways. Basically, it is Devil's Breath. Now you listen to her mentioning it. Basically what Devil's Breath is, I believe, is it's a chemical weapon that Mr. Negative used in the comics as well to do something to, you know, cause mayhem, havoc, whatever, explode stuff. And in the actual note, it actually says the shipper is Kira Chemicals, so I think that's probably the company. Street, you know, you can see it there. Origin is like Sim Carrier, cities, the Dover district, stuff like that. That's not that important, but what I do want to focus on is the actual map. Now obviously you can see the blast radius, and it is massive. The exact location, I'm not too sure on its relevance towards what's going to be happening. But another thing that I want to look at is that actual picture of the map of the city could literally be the map of the city within the game. Now I'm not saying specifically or it's going to translate exactly onto it, but it gives us an insight onto, you know, what the map might look like. And it looks, in general, just looking at it, just like without any like detailed analysis or anything, it looks really big. Now I don't think that's gonna be the entire map. That might be a bit, I mean, you know, it could be. You know, it looks massive. Who knows how big the map will actually be, but you know, the James Stevenson also said that this is Marvel's New York. This isn't a normal New York, and he's emphasized on that. And he said that there might be Easter eggs within the trailer. I'm not too sure what he's talking about, but you know, I'll let you guys sort of speculate on that as well. So next up, again, we have that shot of the city, and he said to look out in the city for Easter eggs. I personally haven't found any, so if you guys do want to look for them and find any that might hint towards what this being Marvel's New York means, then do comment down below. But I personally looked a lot and I couldn't find anything, so yeah. Next up is when Peter's actually within the actual conference of Osborn being re-elected for mayor or whatever's happening there. You know, some people miss that MJ was actually standing next to Peter when all of that happened, and she had a camera, which also brings up the point that MJ is now actually working for the Daily Bugle and Peter isn't, which is something interesting, and it'd be really cool to see how that ties in, because later on you can see that MJ actually does take a huge part within the story, and you see sort of a dynamic mission where you play, I guess, as both Spider-Man and MJ to sort of find out what Mr. Negative is up to. Moving on, after the explosion, we actually get to see Captain Watanabe, which is one of the officers who's also got an alter ego of Wraith within the comics. We don't know if she'll become the Wraith within the actual game, but we got to see a bit of her in the E3 gameplay demo at 2017, but now we get to see her full actual self within the game, and no complaints. Moving on, we are in Grand Central Station, where we do see the Spider-Man and Mary Jane sort of dual gameplay sort of thing, and what you should notice about it is that there's a lot of Oscorp, you know. Oscorp is going, like, there's a lot of Oscorp signs all over the actual Grand Central Station, and you know, we haven't seen anything on Oscorp yet. You know, the great tower, I forgot what it was called. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to say the wrong name, but the big tower at New York. A lot of people speculated that that was gonna be Oscorp Tower. Again, that could be what thing meant of what James Stevenson meant of it being Marvel's New York, but again, I'm not too sure. But again, Oscorp is in this, and the banners and logos and stuff is all over Grand Central Station. So yeah, that's something that you might have missed within the trailer. It also goes to show that within having these Oscorp stuff and a lot of these boxes within Grand Central Station, and Mr. Negative wanting a chemical weapon, it might be it might all tie in together. So Oscorp might be creating the chemical weapons, which are now within the boxes at Grand Central Station, which is what Mr. Negative wants to take, and thus his grunts and stuff all being all over the place. So that might be the connection that actually is made between all three of those stuff: Oscorp, the chemical weapons, and the boxes that Mr. Negative is supposedly stealing. Moving on, we have a shot which was actually at the beginning of the trailer as well, but it was like the teaser shot thing, which is Spider-Man doing this amazing flip in a place. And now there's two possibilities that could go for where he actually is. One possibility that he is actually in the first mission of the game, where you fight Kingpin, which I'm pretty sure the first mission is where you fight Kingpin. It's one of the early missions, and you are in his house, which would actually show the actual concept art that was actually released at D23. You know, it would correspond to that. But what does sort of go against that is that the actual bullets that are being fired at him, they actually look like the negative energy that Mr. Negative would actually be shooting, or one of his grunts would be shooting with the negative energy. So I'm like, why would Mr. Negative be in the first mission of Kingpin? Like, it wouldn't make sense. So the other possibility would be that it's just a random apartment or some random building, and he's getting chased down by Mr. Negative and getting shot at and doing a really cool flip as well. The next actual thing that you might have missed is sort of this clip where you actually see this grunt, or this henchman, Mr. Negative's henchman, sort of pointing a gun at MJ. and she's on the ground and looks like she's just about to get killed, but then Spider-Man obviously comes in, and the doors actually say Roseman's. Now what Roseman's is, I don't know, but it might just be hinting off to Bill Roseman, the creative director at Marvel, which is a cool Easter egg as well. Then we have a really cool train sequence where Spider-Man, you know, is like kicking Mr. Negative, and at the top you actually see the train going to Astor. Now I think Astor's some lower location of New York. That doesn't really tell us much, but it might sort of give a hint at where we could go within the actual map. I don't know my American New York geography, so I can't tell, but I think that's an actual location. So, you know, that's a cool Easter egg as well. Then we have Peter Parker's bedroom. Now there's a lot of stuff to talk about in Peter Parker's bedroom. First of all, it's sort of switched around from the concept art that we did get. It's really similar, but I think the actual formation of it and where things are located is a bit different. Some of the stuff that we can see is the massive poster of Crusher Hogan versus the Spider, which hints at Spider-Man's origin within this actual universe, and you get to see the homemade suit a bit, and you know, just 2010, so it's sort of saying how long ago it was. I think, yeah, so it would be like he's 23. Let me do maths correctly. So if it was 2010 and he was Spider-Man then, that means if it's 2017, if this is taking place in 2017, 7 years later, if he's 23 now, if I do maths correctly, that should be he should have been 16 when he did that. That should be somewhat correct. Yep. So yes, I think that is correct. So yeah, again, it's sort of hinting at the origin story. And then if we look around the room a bit more, there's not that much stuff. You know, it's similar to the concept art that we did see, but some other stuff that we do see is two pictures. One of what looks like to be Uncle Ben and Aunt May together, so we get to see Uncle Ben a bit, and another picture of what looks like to be Peter Parker, Mary Jane, and another person. Now a lot of people are saying that it's Harry Osborn, which I think is, you know, a possibility, but it could be anyone, to be honest, and it's pretty hard to see from the picture, but I'll try my hardest to show you guys. The final one, which is actually pretty massive, and I'm actually going to make a video about it and talk about it in detail, is that this calendar that has October on it. Now there's two things. To just take it as it is, it might just be because the trailer was released in October, which might be so like, oh, let's just put October as the calendar, or it could hint at the release date, and I know that might be a bit far-fetched, but you never know. You know, they might put stuff in there, or October could signify something. So it's 1 year away from, or less than a year now, away from now, basically, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the game in October, to be honest. You know, it seems like a really possible release date, but again, I'm not going to say anything's confirmed, just a possibility, so that's something you might have missed. Let's move on. We also then see a really cool what looks like to be a set piece between a fight between Spider-Man and, of course, Mr. Negative. And what you can see from it is that Mr. Negative is actually touching Spider-Man's arm, and it's actually becoming black, but he's not fully becoming negative, which, you know, it might be. It could be many things, you know. It could be that Spider-Man's figured a way to not become negative, and he might have found out the hard way, which might have happened earlier on. Or he might just be immune to it for some reason, you know. It could be like the White Spider or something like that. Whatever it is, you know, Insomniac said the White Spider will be explained in the game. Who knows what it is, but you can see his arm turning black, but he doesn't turn black overall. So, you know, that's something cool to actually note. And as well as that, the truck that they are fighting on is actually from the E3 2016 gameplay trailer that they did first announce Spider-Man PS4 with. It's actually the exact same truck, I believe, and so that sort of, you know, ties into those two, and you can sort of piece together what sort of happens. And it looks like it's going to be a massive set piece, like the crane sequence was, sort of. Then we finally see the Shaka. You know, to be honest, I have no idea how this plays into the story, and I don't even know if it does somewhat play into the story. It might, to be honest, just be a side mission, but I don't think it will be. It seems like it's a bigger significance, but it does look like they are both in a bank vault, and Shaka is like pissed that he's here, obviously, and punching him in the face, and he gets knocked back a lot, and that's pretty much it. We just know Shaka, we know what he looks like, he looks amazing, but that's pretty much it. We don't know anything else besides that. We then get another look at the actual apartment or the penthouse or whatever, the actual house of, again, either Kingpin or just some random house. I'm going with Kingpin, but again, those bullets really look like negative energy, so I'm really confused as to what's happening. But yeah, and it's sort of the same as the concept art that we did see. So basically, we've seen every single concept art in cinematic form within this trailer that we did get at D23, and that goes for the final scene as well, which is Mr. Negative doing that, almost punching Spider-Man in his face, which was in the concept art as well. What was in the concept art, which isn't in the actual gameplay or cinematic, is the battle damage, the suit damage. Now again, I'm gonna take back what I said. I said that it's confirmed, but when you look at the actual cinematic of what the concept art was, there's no actual damage to Peter Parker's suit. So I'm gonna sort of assume that there's probably not gonna be suit or battle damage within the actual game. So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and learn a few things and seen a few things that you might have missed within the actual trailer. Hopefully I wasn't a complete disappointment. But again, hope you guys did enjoy this video. Much more videos to come in the future, full in-depth analysis of every single thing. And I'm going to try my best to get these out. I've got exams coming up and stuff like that, but I really want to get these videos out because, you know, this is probably one of the largest substantial amount of info that we've gotten from Spider-Man, from Insomniac about Spider-Man PS4 ever since we've gotten the game, pretty much. Because the gameplay trailer, yes, it was good, but it didn't really show anything new. This shows a lot of new stuff, a lot more theories, a lot more stuff to work with, so it just gives a lot more information. So I really want to get our videos for you guys as well and analyze all of this stuff, and I have a lot of cool ideas that I do want to share as well, but I don't want to keep you guys here for too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you guys can find some more Easter eggs and stuff that I personally missed, because, you know, we're not all perfect, but whatever. Yeah, so again, hope you guys enjoyed. This was once again Legit MHX signing out.